I think the number one lesson that I try to help business owners with is that
what type of like big splashes or, swings did you really take to get to where you're at right now?
this is gold, that they were better than you at the thing.
And the really big thing is like getting my team where it needed to be and them all firing on all such cylinders that like I'm just not like needed for the decisions anymore.
What is like the one thing that people should do, or what's the thing that they need to change in their business so that they can get more out of their life? Like, what do you suggest for business owners watching? All right, everyone, welcome to episode number 9. We're almost at the Big 10. Crazy. So this Build for More podcast was for 7 and 8 figure founders and entrepreneurs who are, basically putting out fires every day. They're working harder and they're just not getting what they want out of their business and what they want out of their lives. So my name is Ryan Charterino, founder of Peak Form Advisory. Today we have AJ from Thrive Spine and Sports Rehab. So AJ and I talked, maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. We're going to go through the story of kind of how Thrive's been, what it is today, what are the things that led up to Thrive being where it's at right now. So AJ, welcome.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, man. So AJ and I met probably like 2.5, 3 years ago at this point. Let's go to the beginning stages of Thrive. Walk through like the history of, when you started Thrive, kind of, and this podcast is really for people to, business interested. There are also 7 and 8 figure business owners who want to grow more and make it easier. So walk through what it was like when you first started the business. What are the things you experienced along that journey? And then we'll get to kind of before me and you met, and
cool.
We'll dive into all that.
Yeah, for sure. So, opened up Thrive back in probably December of 2017. I had a partner at the time.
Yep.
He was a chiropractor. I was an acupuncturist. So we kind of just teamed up, started Thrive as a, me and him just doing the service.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we eventually had one secretary. We were doing pretty well. Started growing, started hiring some employees, growing from there. Eventually I did take over. I fully bought him out of the practice, I want to say in 21. And we had a location in Spring Lake. We had a small little satellite in Point Pleasant Beach.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. And then I eventually did decide to close that down as I opened Freehold, actually.
Yep.
But it was like I was doing everything. It's kind of like one of those things of just doing everything and handling every single solitary little confinement piece of the business type thing. Finance, doing the acupuncture, doing every little detail, the marketing, every seat in the business,
Yep.
That's really the big thing of, as I've grown with the business of kind of removing myself out of the seats and then kind of just having that visionary type role in the business.
There was a moment when we first met, and it was something that I'll never forget. And I share this with a lot of people because I think it was super noble of you to just admit where you're like, it's me. So we met at Turnstile in Belmar, and we're having coffee. I hope you don't mind if I share this story. It was just such a great story because it's the root of why people go 5 or 10 years and don't change anything. And you just didn't have an ego about it. You're like, I don't want this anymore. I want something more than this. So we're sitting at Turnstile, and I was like, hey, AJ, and this is the first time we met. I was like, hey, what do you want Thrive to be in like 3 years? And you said a bunch of stuff, and then, we went through it, and I was like, all right, well, what do you want in 3 years? And you couldn't like give a direct answer. And then, I asked one more time, and you're like, I just circled around that, didn't I? And I was like, yeah. And, you said something at that moment. You're like, I can't see past the next week or two, let alone 3 years. And I think that moment for everyone watching here, that you put your ego aside and we're just like, man, this is going to hurt my ego saying this, but like, I want more out of this. And by you admitting that and being aware of that, it allowed you to be where you are today. And you know, I know for all the younger entrepreneurs out there who want to just grind hard and be like, I can do it on my own. I can do it on my own. Like, you know, putting your ego aside. And that's something, you know, I'd love for you to kind of dive into for everyone is, you know, what was going on in your head? You know, I know we met at Turnstile, but like at that time in the business, like what was going on in your head that you were like, dude, I'm fed up. I don't want to, go this route anymore.
I think one of the biggest things is, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, it's like those big things, those big keywords are money, freedom, you know, just those are the big ones, like typically in entrepreneurship of like, okay, like you build something and then freedom, or, you know, you're not really working for money, I'm working for freedom or whatever it is. But, you know, it's that combination of things. And ultimately, you know, at the time, you know, I was probably working, I couldn't tell you, like, I felt like I was working 25-hour days, you know, ultimately, and I never could take a vacation. And if I did, you know, I would come back to problems. I would be getting phone calls the whole time on vacation. You know, I just almost felt like I just couldn't even relax. Like I couldn't even step away. Like, you know, I controlled every little aspect of the company, no matter what it was, every decision, no matter what it was just like I was part of it. And, you know, at that time I was like looking for those answers and reasons of like, how can I change this ultimately? And that's really like led me on the journey of really, you know, understanding, really building a team. You know, at the time I thought I had an amazing team, you know, and a lot of the same team is with me, which is great. You know, it was really then being a true leader of those people. And that's really, really where we are at today, of understanding just being a leader, not a boss really. It's really about being a leader in the business and not being a controller of the company. It's about just leading my team properly. And that's it. Like that's really was the big aha moment for me.
So so many gold nuggets there. What do you feel like had to change so that you could become that? Like what, because I think there's a lot of people that are going to watch this that are going to say like, well, like I have people in my, like you said, I still have most of the same team, and what changed is your ability to lead. And, you know, a lot of business owners blame their employees. Like I hear it all the time. So what had to change in you so that you could become that leader?
I mean, the really biggest thing is like, ultimately everything is blame on me. No matter what it is, no matter what decision it is, even when a teammate makes the decision, it's still on me because ultimately it's my company.
Yep.
And I put that person in there to make that decision.
Love that.
So it really is, you know, even taking to like the EOS stuff or even working with Alex Hormozy, and like it all leads to me, but at the end of the day, I'm just giving the tools and the processes to my team to then execute.
Yep.
So ultimately, like it's a lot of that stuff is it just comes back to me of me putting those pieces in place and then kind of giving directions, giving frameworks. And then it's like, all right, let's execute this here. Let's execute this here. And then watching my team work, and, you know, ultimately came down to trust.
Yeah.
You know, really trusting the right people in the right seats, and then putting them in the proper seats too. That was a really cool like process of learning that, and then understanding that, and then putting those people in those seats, and then literally watching them like really flourish in those proper seats.
I think the number one lesson that I try to help business owners with is that it's all your fault if it's a failure, and it's all your fault if you have the biggest success. It's you. And I think the coolest part about this is that you can make whatever you want happen, and that's entirely your choice. It's your choice to blow your company up to 50 million, and it's your choice to be where you are right now. And everything, you know, every business has a reflection on the strengths, the weaknesses of the founder. Like you're going to go to what you're strong at because that's what most people do. You're not going to go to what you're weak at, but that's where having a team that helps you with your weaknesses so that the whole business can thrive, no pun intended, as a result of you just getting the right people to hire for your weaknesses. Going back to make this kind of fluid, going back to like, you know, when we first met, what were you said you were working like 25-hour week or days or whatever. What did the business look like at that time? And what was going on in your head of like, I don't want this, I want this. Like, what had to shift there?
Like every meeting ran through me.
Okay.
Every decision ran through me. Even understanding the revenue, the understanding the expenses of the company. I really didn't have a true picture of it. We were making money, but I didn't even know what I was spending. Like, it was a lot of like, on paper, the company looked like it was doing great, and we were doing great. Numbers were good. We didn't really have true scorecards. We did track some things, but it was down to like, we really like started to getting down to the details of every little thing, and really treating it like a true company. And that really is what shifted. And it really has like, 3, 4, 5x because of that, of really just taking every little detail when it comes to the marketing, the finance, down to just hiring people, the details of everything. And that's really what shifted,
Something that you mentioned to me too, because obviously you have the other business too, and something we talked about, and I think when you went out to Hermosi, same thing. And by the way, like I love that you did that, because it's so important that you soak up as much knowledge, everything you possibly can, so that you can grow your business faster. When you're talking through like that time period of trying to get clear on these things, what were like the things that you had to get clear on so that you can start tracking the right things so that you can continue to grow the company faster? Like, what were some of the metrics that you had to get clear on?
Some of the biggest metrics are we're a service business. We treat patients. So even just like, okay, down to the gritty number of each individual doctor, and then the total number, phone calls, leads. Are we converting those leads properly? And then where are those leads coming from? And then another big thing in our service business is like reactivations. Just all those little we even track our social media, things like that. Like we track every little thing. It's like, all right, well, what's correlating to that, down to that revenue, or what's correlating to down to us projecting to this? Like, it's really down. We do all types of projections and everything else. So it all those things,
Something you also said to me early on in the journey too, and I think this is super important because like, investing in yourself or your business is never a joke. And I think early on, what would you have to say for people that are like, this costs too much, or like investing in yourself is too much? Because I remember you making a comment. You're like, dude, I was gonna quit this like 5 times. So like, when you're making those investments, like what goes through your head? Because I think there's a lot of business owners that are like afraid to make certain investments, whether it's a person, whether it's coaching, whether it's any of those things. Like, what goes in your head?
I mean, so even, this was actually a really big one for me. And I think I was reading something. I don't know exactly where this came about, and it really threw a light bulb off. And I kind of looked at my whole journey, and kind of even EOS or investing in mentorship from Alex Hermosi.
Yeah.
And really comes down to like, okay, like, what type of like big splashes or, swings did you really take to get to where you're at right now? And then it's like, all right, well, those type of swings only got you there.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to start taking bigger swings to go further.
Yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to, is you got to like, you realize it's like the swings have to just start becoming bigger.
Yeah.
It's like a swing to get you to say $1 million. Like those swings, if you keep just taking the same swings, you're going to be at the $1 million. It's like, all right, well, I want to get to 10 million. You got to start taking 10 million swings, $10 million swings. Like you can't just keep taking those swings that are only producing X, and it really, that's a really big light bulb for me. And, obviously when I joined, when I moved my company onto the EOS platform and working with you, that was a swing for me.
Yeah.
At the time it was a big swing. I was like, wow, this is investment. And I said, was like, all right, I'm doing it. And, it came down to like, all right. And that was the same thing with a very, very substantially large investment for Alex. It's like, I was like, all right, I'm taking this swing. Like I want this company to move a lot further and a lot larger. I need to go figure out and find things that I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's really what those swings are about for me at this point, you know?
I think something that you're like, especially you, are not afraid of is taking those big swings. And I think for the business owners watching this, you're taking those big swings because you have a bigger vision, and you're like, I want to become this, versus like, because you're not going to make those swings if there's no vision.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to make, say I want to be 2 million and I want to be 2.2 million next year. It's like, you're not going to take a giant swing like that if that's your target.
Yeah.
Talk through what that's been like for you, kind of going through this process of like figuring out like, hey, what the hell do I want to create here with Thrive? Like, what is Thrive's vision? And then how does that change the things that the investments you're making, the people you're hiring, like today? So talk through what that looks like.
So like kind of going back to what you said, like, early on, I was like, I can't even see to next week or a month from now. It's kind of like, all right, I go month to month at this point of running the company. And yeah, I mean, I kind of like, it's really cool kind of sitting down with the EOS model and really looking at a 3, 5, 10-year model, plan and all those type of things. But, for me, it really comes down to like just having fun now. Like I really enjoy,
I love hearing that.
like so much what I'm doing that it's like, it's fun.
Fires me up.
Enjoy it. So it's kind of like, all right, well, and then it's fun when you say like, well, why can't you do double that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, all right, let's try it.
One
like,
of my jackass questions.
Yeah.
I love that too, because I think there's a lot of limiting beliefs around like, I can have fun and make a crap ton of money. Like you can, it doesn't need to be all like, this sucks and I got to work through the hard stuff. Like, yeah, things are going to suck obviously, but if 50 to 60 or 70% sucks, like you're doing it wrong. Yeah. I think from an investment standpoint, like investing in yourself with a grander vision allows you to make those bets because this is what I want eventually. So in order for me to get to that, this has to be true. Talk through more of like, when you're hiring people, when you're making those investments, like how much simpler it is to make those decisions because you're like, hey, Thrive wants to be this in like the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, it really just comes down to frameworks at this point for us. Like we have frameworks laid out of hiring the right person for the right seat and, understanding the metrics of the numbers of like, what does that employee produce and what is it going to cost? And that's really all it is at this point. And it's like, okay, like, do we have the space in the company? Do we have to go get now a larger space? It's funny. We're literally talking about knocking walls down at our Freehold office now because of it. And we're trying to like, see if we can like kick the guy out next door. And there's a whole thing going on, but, it really is coming down to that of like literally the metrics of like, all right, right person, right seat, the cost of the employee, what it's going to produce, and then that number fits, and then we move. It's no longer like, all right, we need someone, and then it's just like, all right, hire them and keep going, and then see if it works out. It's like it doesn't work that way anymore.
So yeah, let's talk through that one because that's something I run into a lot, where it's a lot of people say, hey, I just have to get this person, and then I'll start EOS, and then I'll start doing the clarity stuff. Talk through what it's like to now hire when you already have clarity versus like exactly what you said, really. Let's just hire this person and see if it works out versus like, let's have a plan for it first, think through some stuff, and then let's hire into the plan that we've kind of orchestrated. Like, what is the difference between those two things? Like, say you're hiring someone and you're like, let's just hope it works versus we have a plan now and then let's hire.
I mean, obviously, like, prior, that's how I kind of operated. It was just like, all right, like I need a person, and then you hire them, and once it usually worked out, and a lot of the time, sometimes it doesn't. And it was kind of like, just that's what I knew, and that's what I understood, and it was business. Like, I'm an acupuncturist by trade, and I decided to open a business. I learned and evolved into the entrepreneur and businessman that I am, and picked up skills as I go, and understanding these things. So it's not like you don't know this until you do it in a weird way. Or hiring coaches, hiring people around you and getting the right people around you to help you. And that's one of the bigger things that I have learned is like, you don't know it, find someone that does know it, get the information and keep moving. As far as hiring, again, you know, we learned a lot with EOS. It's been a huge aspect of how we hire and why we do it, and interview processing, and, you know, questions and all these types of things. It's been a huge help for us with the company.
Yeah, talk through I mean, this is like,
And let me throw one more thing in there, is that, you know, prior to EOS, it was like I did all the hiring, I did all the firing, I did all the interview process, and it was just like, I'm actually not a good interviewer at all. I'm a terrible interviewer.
yeah,
I'm not like it's just not my strength.
yeah,
I found someone on my team that's a lot stronger than me. And she enjoys it.
yeah, yep,
You know, and I actually have different people at different levels now that do interviews, and how it works out is like, yeah. And then I typically will step in at some point in the process and put my stamp on it. But again, I trust my team, and that's really what it comes down to.
What led to you having that trust in your team that they were, this is gold, that they were better than you at the thing? Like, what led to that? Because I think there's going to be so many people watching this that are like, I don't trust my team. No way. I'm better than them. Like, what led to that?
I think the goal just went off, is that like, I can't do it alone. I can't, I'm never going to do this by myself. I'm never going to be able to get there to truly where I want to go, just myself grinding and grinding and grinding. I have to do a different process.
Yeah.
And that was really like, I just realized, I was like, the process I'm doing is not going to get me there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do it this way, or it's not going to, like, it's obviously not working this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to continue making some money, but I'm just killing myself. I can't, like, you know, it's just, and I was like, all right, I kind of just had to literally like give it up. Like, I had to just, it was like, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I literally decided, I was like, I don't have a choice. This is the way I'm going to do it. And that was it. Like, it was like, all right, if it didn't work out that way, it wasn't working the other way. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I kind of looked at it. I was like, all right, you know,
That doesn't work.
yeah.
That doesn't work.
I mean, it was like, you know, to the from the outside in, it probably looked like it was working, but for me, it wasn't. You know, it wasn't. I was, you know, killing myself, grinding out all day long, you know, just not taking care of my own health. Like, you know, it wasn't like these type of things that I didn't have the ability to, you know, even have the capacity in my own mind to make decisions properly. And, you know, now it's like, I feel like all I have is the capacity to make the really good decisions for like the business and my family. Like, that's really like what it is, because I have like the capacity, like I don't make those little day decisions anymore. Yeah. Like the decisions of making little day-to-day decisions in the company, I do not make. I only make the big ones. And that's really like, it was another light bulb off. Like, this was really big from Alex and Layla, is that like, you know, as you grow and you move up, and you realize is like, it's not about doing more anymore. It's about doing like those bigger, those one thing that's big. Yep. And it's like, and then having that capacity and that energy to do that. And it's really like came to fruition recently, like with the company and like what I'm doing, you know?
I think a super, super key piece for you and for Thrive, and I think a key moment was your leadership team. You know, both Shannon and Vinny have stepped up like tremendously.
And Clint too, big time.
And Clint too,
huge.
There's been a lot of people that have stepped into these roles that just wanted more for themselves, and they wanted to be a part of the team. So like, how does a business owner find people like them? Like, how do you find people like that? How do you even evaluate that those people are going to actually work for you?
I mean, ultimately, like that wasn't like the start. Like, none of them came into the company in those roles. Yeah. You know, Shannon was hired as a physical therapist. Yep. Vinny was hired as a chiropractor, and Clint was hired as an acupuncturist. And, you know, as, you know, being on the team for a certain period of time, you know, especially Shannon, I just saw in her that like she kind of gave me indications that, you know, she was made for more. Yeah. And same thing with Vinny and Clint. Like, you know, it was like, and I kind of just pushed them. I, you know, led through mentorship and leadership, that I pushed them into these seats, and I've given them a lot of frameworks, a lot of proper, you know, the trainings that have allowed them to succeed now in their roles, that what they're doing. And like, you know, and I'm constantly bringing them things to then continue to lead in their role. So it's like me leading them and then they lead in their role, the rest of the team. And it really works. And it's really cool to see. You know, one thing that we didn't do prior, like, before I worked with Alex and Layla, one of the biggest things was that, like, our leadership team met once a week. Like, we meet Thursdays, do a level 10 meeting, and it's awesome. We make a lot of progression. And then it was like, okay, the rest of the team met like once in a while. It was like, it used to be structured that it was like once a month that we met, and it was a big team meeting and it was all this stuff. And then it was like, we weren't like, it was like, well, what, just over the month, you're not progressing or anything like that. And, one of the bigger things I uncovered in my team was like, we're really successful, but like, there was no sales process. There was no sales process. There was no, like any of these, there was no frameworks. There was no processes in anything. And, we train like multiple times a week now. Like, my team is constantly training. Like, before I left to come here, on the lunch hour, and my team was all training, and like, awesome. I was not part of it. Like, they do that. Like, they're there doing training. They all want more. Like, they constantly are always pushing themselves, which is so cool to see. It's like, but typically I'll meet with my leadership team and, hey, listen, like, here's some stuff we could do in meetings, or here's what we should do in the morning meeting. Like, I laid out the framework of the morning meeting of like, okay, like, the first 5 minutes, here's what you're hitting. The next 10 minutes, you're going over this, and then you're going over this, and then you're going over this. And here's like 15, 20 things that you could put into this category. Here's 15, 20 things to put into this category when you're going through. So I give them the frameworks, I give them pieces and essentially pieces to plug in, and then they carry it out. And it's really cool to see them, like, and the team is just like firing on all cylinders because of it,
I think, and for everyone watching, this is like what a visionary does. They're not the person that wants anything to do with execution. They will, but it's not like what lights them up. What lights them up is the big decisions, the big thinking, the big relationships. Like, that's what gives them joy. And I mean, it's clear as day with you. Like, you want to be in the big rooms, you want to be in the big conversations, and being in the day-to-day drains you. Talk through what it's like to have someone that actually gets joy out of the thing that you don't like doing. Like, I think the big thing for a lot of business owners is when you say trust, like, it's trusting that stuff's going to actually get done without you being around. Talk through what that's been like for you, having like Shannon as an integrator, who's been someone who, is solving for something that you don't enjoy doing.
I mean, like, prior, it's like, even like having Shannon step into that role is like, I was looking at charts all day long, like spreadsheets all day long, spreadsheets. And I'm not a numbers guy. I'm just not a numbers guy.
I can't even imagine you sitting.
Yeah. Like, it's like, like, I'm just not a number, but like, I had no choice. I had to do it. It was like, it was my company. I had to do it. And it's funny because like Shannon would like come to meetings sometimes and she had all these spreadsheets and all these numbers. And I'm like, wow, this girl like really likes spreadsheets and numbers.
And so do I.
She even has like a coffee cup. It's like, I have a spreadsheet for that. And it's like funny because I'll take it because it's like, I hate spreadsheets. I hate numbers. And it's like, and it's so funny. And I'll use it. And I'll stand there with the coffee cup that it's just like, everyone laughs about it. But like, like, she is such like a dialed in when it comes to those things. And like, she loves getting into the nitty gritty of like, making that phone call and like finding that number, finding those things that are like, okay, well, what's under the hood of the company? And she loves doing it. Like, it's funny that she like enjoys it, like, where like I used to do it all day long. Like, that's what I did, but I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Ultimately it's really cool to see that someone like actually enjoys it and is really excelling. Like, she's doing a way better job than I did. So it's great. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun to see. And then ultimately too, like, okay, just being like a team leader in the office, Clint and Vinny, are doing such a great job. All the decisions from day to day, like in a company like mine, okay, we have to make decisions on, okay, we got a verification for insurance. Okay. Like, well, this insurance is this. We have to make a decision of, okay, like, what is the person paying out of pocket? What's happening? Are we billing insurance? Are we not billing it? Like, just all these, just every little decision about every patient who comes in. How are they getting treated? Why should they be getting referred over acupuncture based on X, or all these little things? Like, I don't make those decisions anymore. And it's just like the team leader makes those decisions, or vice versa, discusses with the team and discusses the plan of care, and they go from there.
And I think so many business owners get stuck in the trap of like where you were, where it's like, and you said it kind of word for word. It's like, well, I had to do that. And I think that's for a period of time until it becomes like, there's so much opportunity that we're missing out on by me doing that, being on the spreadsheets. And I think the cost of that is so much more high than actually paying the person. And I think that's the limiting belief that a lot of business owners have is like, either they don't believe the opportunities are out there, which I'm telling for everyone, there are tons. You have to just go create them, or they don't believe that they can afford the person. So it all comes back to like the ROI on a person, the ROI on anything. And I think something that you're really good at is seeing that and seeing like what's the risk here? Like if I make this investment, like what's going to happen? What do we think's going to happen? Because you're really good about seeing that and making a quick decision and then just running. So talk about like Thrive today. Talk about your personal life today. Something that I love hearing from you is like, I'm having a blast. Like I get to spend more time with my family because like, man, we're all like, it's so easy for us to be 40, 50 years old and be like, yeah, I'll deal with my family when I'm 50. It's like, that kills me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I ultimately still like one of the first people. I'm usually the first one, or Shannon sometimes beats me into the office because she's just a workaholic, worse than me. But ultimately, like I'm usually one of the first people in the office, you know, checking in on things, seeing what's going on. And, prior, I was the acupuncturist. I was in a room seeing the most patient, like, you know what I mean? And that was another thing. I had to pull myself out of that slot because it was like, all right, the company needs me in a different role. Again, it's me making those decisions, throughout the day. And then it's funny because like usually around like 2-3 o'clock, like the decisions that I'm typically making in the company are not really happening anymore.
Yeah.
It's usually that like, 8 to 12, 8 to 2, usually taking meetings with the team. The team's usually training in the middle of the day. We do take larger lunch breaks so we can train. A lot of people are like, oh, we just have to work all day long. Investing in time out of actually doing work and actually training, it's the ROI on that is huge. So we actually
explain that, because I think again, the whole point of this podcast is for someone to take away one or two things of like that, where it's like, why would that be a better ROI than just working more?
Because the execution then when they're actually working is like tenfold.
Yep.
So like, it's like, okay, like if say we do sales trainer, or we do, just certain executions or certain frameworks that we're going to go through. I'd rather have my team all trained on it so much that then when they go to execute, they're so good that, you could have 10 chances. If they're not trained properly, you could lose every time. But if we only have 2 chances, but we're really trained and we execute on 2, now we close 2 and we missed out on 10 and didn't train. So it's like, I'd rather actually take a little bit of time away from actually like doing work and train properly, and actually get the job done properly. And I think like, my whole team's happier. They realize it, they see it, they see the fruition of it, which is really cool. I think when I first brought it out and really rolled it out, everyone was rolling their eyes at me.
Like, training.
Training. Oh my God, you're gonna take, cause it's like, ultimately like, half the time the guys, everyone's jerking off, like doing fucking stupid shit. During their lunch hour, during these like off hours that are useless.
Yeah.
And it's ultimately like, they were like, okay, like, and then I was like, all right, well, we're going to be training during these hours. And they essentially were like, but now they're seeing it. They see the fruition, they see it, and they're ready for, everyone's ready for it. Everyone's dialed in. So it's really cool to see. But going back to like the day-to-day stuff, typically around like 2 or 3, like a lot of the time my team's like, you're getting in the way, like get out of here. Like, so it's like, and now I don't even like bother with it. Like I started feeling that, like, that it's like, I'm just not needed on the day-to-day stuff at certain hours. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just sit there. Like, it's
what
like,
do I do?
It's not like
it's
that.
Important.
But
it's a good
obviously
one.
if I have things like this, like obviously I'm here during this hour, doing this type of thing. But, you know, it's really nice to see, especially this time of year. It's like, okay, like my wife will bring the kids down to Spring Lake Pool and I'll meet them over there and we'll go in the pool. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, little things like that, which is great to do versus like, okay, well, I'm just sitting in my office or getting in the way there.
Yeah.
My teams, I gave them the frameworks. I gave them the materials, the trainings, the things to execute on. It's like, all right, well, they're executing.
Yeah.
I trust them. You know, so it's really cool to see like that type of stuff. And ultimately it's been a really cool journey to like figure that out. And I mean, I have light bulbs go off every day still. It's like every day there's just another light bulb, another light bulb, another light bulb, you know?
I think the challenge that a lot of business owners run into that I talk to is that they feel guilty for asking for more in anything, like from their business, in their personal life, of like raising their standards. So, you know, when you're out with your family and the team's working, you know, a lot of people that I've talked to feel guilty about that. That they're like, and you know, I have multiple clients that will go work out in the middle of the day or do whatever. And I love that because I think your team takes your mindset and applies it to their life. And eventually, when Thrive gets big enough, the bottleneck's going to turn into your leadership team's time. And then their ability to lead like you're leading them right now. Talk through what the feelings are of, you know, because like I talk to a lot of business owners that have gone through EOS for a few years that they're like, I'm bored. Like, what has that been like that you're like, I'm not needed? Like, are you bored? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, there's definitely days like that for sure. There's
Yeah.
definitely days that I'm like, wow, like I'm just sitting in my office, like,
Yeah.
you know,
What do I do?
There's really not the decisions that I need to make to be made. They're coming up, or I just made one, and I'm kind of just like, all right, well, it's kind of like that, you know, cruising period or whatever you want to call it, and it definitely is kind of an odd feeling for sure. But again, I've had some recent light bulbs go off is that like, you know, I've earned it. Like I've worked
Hell
for it.
yeah.
I've worked for it.
Hell yeah.
And I deserve to do what I'm doing. If I feel like going to work out in the middle of the day, I trust me, I had that feeling up until pretty
Yeah.
recently. I had that feeling. I still do once in a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, once in a while I will just get up and go to the gym in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And I don't have that guilt anymore. And the really big thing is like getting my team where it needed to be and them all firing on all such cylinders that like I'm just not like needed for the decisions anymore.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a weird way it was like prior to that, like it was like they still like felt like I needed to be in that room for them to be able to come in there and like, okay, I need you to help me make this decision. And now it's like I've removed myself from even allowing them to do that.
Amazing.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Like I've just removed, I'm like,
You got
you just can't come to me with these type of things anymore. Like it just doesn't, like, I trust you, make the decision. If it's sucks, it's on me.
Yeah.
I told you to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and like, they can't like, cause a lot of people like, that's the one thing is a lot of people are afraid to make the decisions because
100%.
then it's like, they feel like I'm going to be like, okay, this is on you. Where it's like, I've just flipped the switch. It's like, no, it's still on me.
Yep.
We'll just figure it out. Do we have to do more training? Do we have to understand why we're making these decisions? And we'll go from there.
Like such a valuable lesson for everyone watching because a lot of leaders lead with a fear-based mentality where it's like, listen, if you make that decision and it's wrong, it's on you. And I think flipping the script like you've done allows people to just like, I hired you. I trust you. If you got it wrong, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's back on me. And I think the best leaders like do exactly that because ultimately, again, and forever and ever, every decision that goes wrong in your company is your fault. And then every decision that goes right, you can clap your hands for.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good advice. And I think it allows your team to go do the things they need to do. They know the answer. 9 times out of 10, they know what the answer is. They're just afraid.
Yeah, I mean, they watched me execute for a long time, especially my leadership team. They've been all of them have been with me for 5 years now, and all 3 of them. And they watched me and they worked with me making these decisions for a long period of time that,
Yep.
you know, they have they have my trust, all three of them, big time.
Yep.
I mean, my whole team has my trust.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of, it's there, it's working. And ultimately, hopefully, you know, we're moving on to the next phase, you know what I mean? That's it.
Perfect timing. What is the next phase of Thrive? What does Thrive look like in the next few years? What are the long-term goals?
I mean,
What do you want to create in this world?
you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, when I started it was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to start a small office and have fun and make money. And,
Yeah.
you know, and that's really the vision. And, you know, it's really not about the money at this point anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's really about like, okay, like building a team, having fun doing it, and really, how many more people can we help? You know, it's really like, okay, like, cause like that was a big thing, a big light bulb early on was like, okay, for me, it's like, okay, like I had to like, cause I used to see 100 to 150 patients a week. And it was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, I wore that like a badge on my arm, like shoulder, you know, on my chest. And it was kind of like, I see all these people, I'm helping all these people. And then I kind of really had to realize it's like, all right, well, if I have 10 doctors treating, say, 50 to 100 each a week, I'm indirectly helping so many more people.
Yeah.
And that's really like my vision of like, okay, well, if I have 20, 30, 40, 50 doctors ultimately eventually working for me, it's like I'm helping so many more people by doing that, not just myself.
Yep.
And I kind of like had to flip that switch, the ego part of me doing the work and kind of taking that credit directly with that patient. You know, really had to like flip that and realize that is like, okay, like if I can open, you know, 2 more offices, say in the next 2 years, you know, moving to like 4 really large clinics, you know, it really would double the numbers we're doing right now and ultimately help double the amount of people. And that's really the goal, is just to like, you know, get there and then, all right, what's next, you know, like from there.
I think my favorite thing, especially with you on the impact, like it's not just and like why I even do what I do is, man, like I love nothing more to hear from someone who's like, I was not having fun and I'm having fun. Like as simple as that sounds, like there's so many people I talk to who are miserable, and it just doesn't need to be that way. So it makes me like the impact that, you know, on your family, on your employees, like they're all seeing all of that and they're watching you go through this journey. And the next thing that's going to happen as you continue to grow is they're going to continue to go on a journey. And eventually they're going to be at a point where they're running a major office. It's like, all right, well, now we're going to work yourself out of this office so that the office is running without you, because that'll allow more growth, more impact. And you're going to change their lives too as this continues to grow, which that just fires me up. So, you know, I think there's been a lot of valuable things that have been shared here today. If you had one piece of advice to leave with everyone, what is like the one thing that people should do, or what's the thing that they need to change in their business so that they can get more out of their life? Like, what do you suggest for business owners watching?
I mean, really the big thing is like getting clear on really what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a really crucial thing. And it really comes down to like, do you just want tons of money and you don't care about the grind and just keep grinding and it doesn't matter? It's like, all right, then just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
But like ultimately, like, you know, for me is really that healthy balance of freedom and money. And then also impact, you know, all 3 of those things that like, okay, how can I have such a healthy balance of those things that really just allows for me to be clear, understand what's going on. And, you know, like we say, having fun doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and then another thing I said it earlier is like, you know, taking bigger swings. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to. I feel like I hear it every day, especially like talking to other entrepreneurs or other business people about like what type of money they're using in their marketing, like what type of money they're spending in marketing, or what they're paying their employees, or what they're doing, these type of things. And it's like, okay, well, what you're doing right now is only getting what you're getting. Like you gotta,
there's no choice.
yeah. You literally just have to take bigger swings. You know, double, triple, 10x your marketing budget.
Yeah.
And see, you know, you have to take the risk. You You know, it really comes down to those type of things. And for me, like those are like, that's what I'm thinking about now. Like those are the decisions I'm making of like, how much more like money can I actually deploy into certain areas to like multiply certain things. Like it's like, all right, how can I deploy more money in this one area to then 10x that area? Like how can I do that? And those are the type of decisions I'm making, you know?
And I think for everyone, you know, final thoughts, I personally named this podcast Built for More because I think a lot of people are built for more, but they don't believe it. They don't think it's possible. And, you know, I think, me and you have had tons of conversations over like what's stopping you from tripling this? And, you know, I think the push, you know, if you have a business owner friend, like push them to ask for more in their life. Because I think the only thing stopping them is their own mindset. Like there's tons of people that are willing to share their time, their energy and the things they've done to help you because, you know, someone helped them. So like reach out to someone who's currently doing it. Ask them questions. You know, I find so many business owners that have substantial companies that nobody asks them questions. And it blows my mind. Ask them a question. You know, if someone reached out to AJ, like, dude, he'd be more than happy to help you. Or at least give you some sort of pointers of like, you should do this instead of this. Like, that is so valuable. So like, reach out to people in the local community, connect with them, ask them questions because we all want to help.
For sure.
So
Definitely.
like it's all right in front of you. You just have to ask and you just have to want more. And that's the whole point of this podcast. So, AJ, where can the viewers find you? Where are you?
Obviously the company on Instagram is Thrive Spine and Sports Rehab. And then, I'm on Instagram, just AJ Adamczyk 1, I think.
Yeah. Nice.
You know, that type of thing. And obviously just, you know, LinkedIn, anybody could reach out to me. I'm always happy to help and look out and everything like that. But one more thing though, you know, I think that another humongous takeaway of really understanding what capacity means and understanding that the you know, internally and then in your company and all these different, like just everywhere in your life, capacity. That was another humongous light bulb that recently went off in my life, and like understanding capacity and then how can I understand that in say myself, my personal life, my family life, my company and all these different things. And then building the proper ways to like open up capacity or building it first to then execute. And it's just a humongous thing of like understanding like what true capacity is.
Yeah.
And there's some times in your life, like you don't have the capacity to do certain things. And it's like, all right, well, how can I get more capacity during that time? Or the company, you know, it's just
how
like,
can I create it? 100%.
Well, it's like, then it's like, okay, elevate, you know, delegate and elevate or whatever it is. And it's just like, okay, like the capacity is such a, like, it's one of my biggest frameworks now. And it's just like such a huge thing.
So many valuable pieces here today. AJ, seriously, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sure people watching are going to appreciate it. And that's all we got today.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, man.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Sweet.